Hello and welcome to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk. I am LaWanna Bradford, and today I have a very special guest here who's actually the host of today's show, none other than the amazing Barbara Beckley. And Barbara Beckley is my business partner, but she is also a dynamic woman in her own right. She's a 12-time award-winning best-selling author. She is a speaker. She's a teacher, an influencer, and an educator in the social media lane, as well as media personality. She has her own TV network, the Diamond Factor Network, where she hosts numerous shows on the E360 TV platform, allowing individuals to spotlight their voices and to be a catalyst of change for the world. She is also a woman who is known for the message PPD, and PPD stands for Purpose, Passion, and Drive, which is her signature platform. And this platform is designed to help you identify your true purpose, move forward with passion, and ensure that you can create sustainability with that drive. And today we're going to flip the script because normally I'm the one doing the interviewing, and Barbara's going to lead this one. So welcome, Barbara.
Well, thank you, Mrs. LaWanna Bradford. And it's an honor and a privilege being on Business Financial Raw Talk and to flip the script today. So I get to do this wonderful interview with my partner, the one and only strategist. I mean, just so much that I love about Mrs. LaWanna. I get a chance to interview her, and you get a chance to get to know her even more than you probably do. So take notes.
Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators with award-winning business strategist and financial analyst, LaWanna Bradford with the Bradford Group. With Raw Talk, we are empowering women to rise and succeed in business and finances, and improve the world for the next generation. Get ready to get raw and real. Live each Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on e360tv.com.
Meet LaWanna Bradford, a true visionary on a mission to empower women and revolutionize the world of business. With a proven track record as a serial entrepreneur for over 3 decades, LaWanna has cracked the code to building businesses that not only thrive, but also make a profound impact on communities worldwide. She's not just about profits, she's about creating sustainable communities that know no borders. And that's what sets her apart.
Once you start with you, where the essence of love begins, first from divine, and then you embracing who you are, then you can pour.
LaWanna has an incredible knack for adding zeros to bottom lines and empowering women to amplify their voices, break free from societal norms, and become the best versions of themselves.
Your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable.
Connect with LaWanna Bradford. Text R3 to 888-111 for your complimentary business session.
Wow. So amazing. So now we're going to dig in just a little bit deeper so we can get a chance to know this wonderful woman and get to understand her platform. So, Raw Talk, let's just start off with the show. Raw Talk is in its 5th season and 3rd season on TV. So I want to know, what was the reason you started the show? And today, what do you hope to achieve with the show?
I started the show, actually, you and I started the show back in 2019 as part of our Celebrate You, Embracing Her community. And the goal was to really promote and amplify the financial crisis facing women. And it was a platform that enabled us to provide education and statistics and the gaps, pay equity gaps that not only exist between women overall, but then when you slice and dice women by demographics, that gap becomes wider. And through that, you and I were also able to do 4 business boot camps, financial wellness boot camps for women. We did it first offline in person, And then with the pandemic, we ended up doing it virtually. But through that, continuing with the message and then broadening it where it was not just me and you having the conversation, but bringing other experts, both in the business lane and financial lane, to sort of push the envelope and challenge the mindset when it comes to business and finance. We know there's some standards that are there, but then, we may want to challenge the practices and how we do business. And one simple example is in person versus hybrid versus virtual, right? The world is different in how we communicate and engage with each other since the pandemic. So it's having conversations in and around that in order to provide the tools, the tips, the strategies to elevate, particularly women in business, but anyone watching this show to the next level.
Amazing. And I love how, this show birthed out of other communities that you were building, and with me and you, and then just yourself building to this show, the Raw Talk, and for something that is, like I said, that you just love, your passion is about. So going into that, every show host has their unique signature, right? So what is your USP when it comes to Raw Talk?
I believe my USP, Barbara, is the fact that I'm in two lanes. I'm a dualpreneur. So meaning I have a corporate professional background as an award-winning financial analyst and award-winning strategist, working with billion-dollar companies as well as government agencies. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So I have 30 years experience as an entrepreneur. I've worked both of them independently and as a dualpreneur, working both in tandem. And I think because of that, it gives me a very unique perspective. I know what it's like to start a business from scratch. I know what it's like to go for financing, to bootstrap your business, to get venture capitalists, to establish your branding, to do from a traditional brick and mortar business to buying, product placement, pricing. I've done all that for my own business, but then big business, I understand the system of business and the strategy in order to achieve success and how businesses make money. And one of my the things that I do well is I know how to add zeros to the bottom line. And so I think as a host, it allows me to have that intelligent exchange with whoever is sitting on the other side of the mic. And it also allows me to understand where they're coming from so that I can amplify and spotlight them even more. So I believe that's my USP.
Yeah, that's a strong USB, because I like how you've been doing it for so long. The whole array of it, and you understand the pain points. You understand what people are dealing with. You can also have those answers for them because you dealt with it, been through it, and working with others with it. So yes, it goes in that way. And that leads me into the next question, talking about that, with your title that you hold, I like the most interesting is knowledge broker and connector. So can you tell us a little bit what that means?
So knowledge broker is having the strategic lens to look at all the pieces, right, of a situation and connect the dots, find the opportunity in the chaos, if you will. Being able to translate those or transform those stumbling blocks into stepping stones. And very often individuals tend to be very myopic and focusing only on one thing, but not how there may be dependencies or drivers that are impacting one thing versus the other. Also, I'm certified from the University of Houston as in strategic forecasting. And that enables me to, again, take that strategic lens, but then look at what are the probabilities that certain things may happen given the environment that we're in. So making it really, really simple. So that's a piece of the connection, right? And the knowledge, being able to weave the story and then translate that story so that people can make the best decision, whether it's that customer who's buying that product or service, or it's that leader in the C-suite or CEO of a small business, and how they make their strategic decisions in order to move forward and gain momentum. And as a connector, again, that's the knowledge broker piece, and the connector is connecting the dots, but connecting the dots in such a way that we're adding zeros to the bottom line. So from the financial capacity that I have, the strategic capacity, and the performance capacity, integrating those three and connecting them so that there's a win-win on the other side.
You know, I'm listening to you. Very profound info that you're doing. If people are not connecting with this, the biggest thing that LaWanna's saying too is that bottom line, getting you to increase that bottom line. And that is so, when you think about it, that's an important part in any kind of business, being if you have your own business or in corporate or what have you. And LaWanna does both. She knows how to maneuver in both. And LaWanna, just one other thing before we talk about the next question I have is when you talked about forecasting. I have to say, and I'm just going to admit this, when I started my business, I'm just all like, oh, I'm going to start my business. I had to get a business plan. Okay, boom, 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 let's start business. Never thought about saying, okay, wait a minute. Let's look beyond here. Like if this happens, what are you going to do? Or how are you going to strategically put yourself in a marketing type of thing with your business? How is it going to flow? How about if people, your competitors? How about this? So you come up with all those questions that I didn't even have in my mind. I was like, whoa. Maybe I should pedal back a little here. Yeah.
And I think it helps you to better insulate when there will always be challenges in business, but there's also going to be those opportunities. So what happens, and I'll talk from a favorable standpoint, what happens if you get this huge demand for your product or service? That's a good problem to have. But if you don't have the revenue to pay for it up front, then what happens? So sometimes we grow so fast that we can end up imploding. So there's a thing that's, which is planned growth, being strategic in your growing. And again, weighing the cost. We all want to increase the bottom line. We all want a lot of clients. But if I only have one store and my demand requires me to have 2 stores, what do I do? How do I get that other store up and running? And that's just, again, a very simple example. But I think as your small businesses, your small entrepreneurs, especially that solopreneur, typically does not have those conversations because it's a one-person shop. And I think that's why it's so important to have community and those strategic partnerships, those small mastermind groups, so you can have conversations like this one with the other and pretty much serve as each other. It's kind of like a board to give insight and some thought where you're just so in the weeds of the business that you may not be raising your head and looking at, wait a minute, my clients are actually leaving because a better service is down the street. But I am so focused on this, I didn't even notice that the store wasn't open, right?
Yeah. And then that goes back to, okay, like you said, getting to the bottom line. Well, that's going to distract from your bottom line if you don't have either the people, the equipment, whatever, to, like you said, getting that big order. I mean, it happened to me again, where I grew, I got 2 clients and it was just a one shop person. I was like, okay, now how do I meet their demands? So if you can't meet the demands of a client, what happens? Like you said, LaWanna, you might lose them. And then there goes your bottom line.
Right. And then there's a reputational risk because you put out a brand promise, right? And now you're like, oh, well, I can't meet it. Well, you can only tap dance for so long. It's like after a while, they're going to be like, now when is that coming? It's in the mail. That doesn't last long.
Yeah. And one thing about, like you said, LaWanna, integrity and the trust, once you lose it, it's really difficult sometimes to get it. It's really difficult to get it back. It takes a while to do that. Sometimes maybe not even get it at all,
Like I know a mutual friend of ours, she's an inventor, and during the height of the pandemic, she was in a crisis with her clients because her product shipment was coming from the Asian markets, and there was a major delay. 6-month delay.
Ooh.
People had already put partial payment down. So those are, again, you have to think, do I have, in the event of something of that magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
What's my plan B?
Yeah.
You know, how do I respond to that? So
yeah, that 6 months. Ooh. Yeah,
that was painful.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Like you said, strategic, like you said, you got to plan it out. Like you said, who would ever thought it was going to be in a pandemic? But, you know, even with you, you're probably saying, okay, when you look at the history of stuff, you got to say, okay, this could happen and plan it out. And that's where you come in with that knowledge broker part of it too, like you said. So
Right.
now, lady, you have been up to a lot lately. Yeah. People have been watching Miss LaWanna. She has just came from the Leadership Experience Tour at Michigan State University. Okay. She was awarded the 2023 Next Gen Entrepreneur of the Year, recognized by the New York Times as one of the top 10 women to look for in 2023. And you were the 2023 recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I had to pause on that. Okay, I'm pausing because people need to hear what I just said. How does all of this feel? And you are obviously on a mission, lady. So do you care to share?
I feel like a rock star.
You are a rock star.
Seriously, when on my birthday is in May, I was very strategic in my commitment and what I wanted to do to elevate my brand, the brand of LaWanna Bradford. What did that really mean? And developing the strategies to put things into place. And as I started to build momentum, people started seeing what I was doing and how I was showing up. And these recognitions they blew me away. The Next Gen, I received an email. I'm like, is this real? You know, what is this? How much do you want? You know, you know, and it's no, it was real. And with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, that's awarded to individuals who've contributed over 4,000 hours of volunteer service to this country. And mine was recognized for over 4,000 hours spent to elevate women entrepreneurs and to change the narrative when it comes to our role in the economy. And that, to me, I just kind of had to sit and process that, because when you're busy doing what you want, like your platform is purpose, passion, and drive, and you're in your purpose, you're not really thinking how many hours you're investing. And this is all within like a 3-year period that I'm putting, you know, that kind of energy and work. And it's a good feeling. Oh no, 4 years. It was about 4 years, but that's still a lot of hours, because you know, you and I talked about it before 2019. I think 2016 I started doing some things with women, you know, here in the local Atlanta area, but really started ramping things up with our Celebrate You, Embracing Her Wellness community in 2019. I think things just went in overdrive.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like you said, okay, I'm going to say it for you again, just so people can hear it. Yes, you are a rock star. You are definitely a rock star. And you're rocking it, not just like you said, really showing up like you're doing, but you're showing up for so many others, especially women in business, and really making sure that they understand who they are and what they're doing in their own business. And you're taking all the years, all the experience you have, all the ups and downs of your life and the flows, and saying, hey, I'm here. I'm here to help you maneuver through that strategically. Let's do this, and let's do it right. And let's make some money while you're doing it, you know?
Exactly.
Let's not just be a hobby here. This is a business. Let's really make this serious. That's true raw talk. You know, is your business a hobby or a business? Well, LaWanna will sit there and tell you, okay, Don't pick the hobby one if you're trying to make money.
Yes.
So yes, and it's showing up in whatever you do. So congratulations on your awards. It's
Thank you.
truly an honor. And like you said, take it in because you need to take it in. You deserved everything that you got. So I just have to say that and put that out there. And thank you for sharing. And thank you for just, like you said, effortlessly putting in hours, because what did you say, LaWanna? You like what you do. It's in your blood. It's a passion of yours. So, you just keep it moving. Like you said, we always say, keep it moving in that direction. So, well, I want to, before we continue, we're going to just take a little clip from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with LaWanna Bradford. Yes. And we are back. If you're just chiming in, this is Business and Financial Raw Talk with LaWanna Bradford, who is basically over the show and the host. But we did a swipe today because we really wanted you to get more in tune on who LaWanna Bradford truly is. So my name is Barbara J. Beckley, and I am interviewing this wonderful lady. I'm going to say LaWanna, I have to say it, queen that I look at as well. So with that, we're going to continue on. Now, this is where I'm excited to talk about this with you, Miss Lady, because this is something that power that she's doing right now. So I recently, and a lot of people probably heard, you've been speaking about R3, as well as featured this concept in the Ultimate Achievers magazine. So, can you tell us a little bit about and why you are so passionate about the R3?
Well, the R3 came out of surviving waves of tsunamis in my business and in my life, and these all happened within a 3-year period. And looking back, Barbara, success leaves clues, and I noticed that at the time I didn't see it, but looking back, I realized I was putting a system in place that helped me rise after each tsunami episode. And that's where the R3 was born from. So it's taking that point of crises and being able to refocus. And it's more than just having a mindset and having a will, but it goes into having a commitment, because we can intend all day long. And so I talk a little bit about what that means when you're refocusing, and then the next step is reframing, and how we are the architects of our life and our business. So what does that lane look like? How do you frame it? How do you own it and dominate it, right? And walk boldly in that. And then the third part is reconnecting. And for me, that was the hardest part, because when you are broken, feeling abandoned, literally broke, and your health is at question, you've lost your marriage, your business partner. I mean, the list goes on and on. All this stuff was happening at one time. As you're rebuilding, then how do you step back on the playing field? How do you step back and own your rightful place as a business owner, as a person in life? And I felt that it was real important at this point in my life, at this point in my professional and entrepreneur journey, to share this and to share that this is a proven system that I used again and again and again. And it's not just a one and done. And I don't use it just in times of crisis. I literally, Barbara, use it every single day. But it's very quick, right? Because I've become so conditioned to do this that, you know, it's like getting up and brushing your teeth. I mean, it's automatically my brain is taking me through boom, 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 boom. I do a morning assessment, and then boom, 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 I do an evening assessment. And sometimes I have to sit in the assessment a little longer. There was an incident that happened on Friday that I shared with you that really rocked me. And I had to pause, you know, and this is on the business side. I thought, whoa, okay, this wasn't planned. I didn't expect this, didn't see it coming. And I literally applied the R3 to get myself back in the game, because I felt like I had been kicked out of the game for a second. I did. I was like, where did this one come from?
Like whoosh. You know, wow. Well, LaWanna, I was going to say that I love how you use that concept in everyday life. Because, you know, they say like the father of learning is repetition. And with you using your, like you said, what your strategy, this is strategy. Like everybody, R3 is the refocus, reframe, reconnection. And I'm glad you mentioned about the refocusing part. That's just not a mindset. Because I mean, we talk sometimes, and I know you always say, which I always laugh when you say this. Yeah, you can have a mindset, everything. Yeah, I want to make $1 million. Yeah, I want to, you know, travel the world. Yeah, I want to be over here. Okay, that's your mindset, but what you gonna do? How are you going to refocus it? How are you going to get to that point? And I think that's the part where we have to all think about when you have to refocus. It's just refocusing on what you want, but then you also have to say, how's the next plan of action, or how are you going to do that? Just not just sit in it. And I think I fell into it sometime where I sit in something, and then 2 or 3 months later, I'm still talking about the same thing I said 2 or 3 months later. So.
Yeah, all of these three lanes are all actionable. So, you know, the what obviously is you got to refocus, you got to reframe, you've got to reconnect. And then I do a big overview. That's one of my keynotes. But then when I have my one-on-one session, I give a complimentary consult, and that was shared in the intro. So if those of you are wondering, what is she talking about? You can text R3 to 888-111. That's R3 to 888-111. And you have a complimentary consult with me where we talk about these in relationship to where you stand. It's not a cookie cutter. So I'm giving you a system, but the system has to be customized. So it's your customized GPS. That's what it is in a nutshell. And then the how, if individuals want to work with me and my team, that's where we go through the hard work. Now we're dissecting and unpackaging and really uncovering where we might be getting stuck in these respective lanes. Let's remove the roadblocks and barriers. Now let's build scalable strategies so we can start creating that momentum that we need.
And, you know, I like when you said, now we're into the hard work. And I tell people, this going back to what you said at the beginning, if you're trying to get to that bottom line in your business, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work. And, you know, LaWanna's like, this is it. The 3 R's, R3. So thank you, LaWanna.
Can I share something with you, Barbara? I know I'll share this story with you, but I want to share this for the audience. I was doing work with one of my mentees and giving them an exercise, and it followed this R3 framework. But they never got beyond the first R. But yet they wanted to jump back on the playing field. I'm like, if the mind is not right, again, it's beyond mindset. And if you don't even know the lane you're working in, which game are you going to go play? You just want to jump in and say, well, here I am. That's not going to work. So that was disappointing. So you have to be very invested in you. And I love what Abraham Hicks says. You have to be tapped in, tuned in, turned on for you. If you can't be sold out for you, Why should anyone else?
I got to sit in that. Everybody's listening right now. You got to just sit in that. If you're not wanting to do it, why should somebody else? That answers a lot. That might answer a lot of questions. People like, maybe that's why things are not going the way.
No one's knocking at my door. I wonder why.
I wonder why. How's that going for you, like they say? Well, LaWanna, thank you for taking us through that and really diving in a little bit. And like you said, if people want more of sitting with you with that, a consultation, that they can basically text. Can you say that text real quickly again? I just want to make sure
they could text R3, the letter R, the number 3, to 888-111.
Awesome. Okay, now we're going to get into some things because, lady, you have a lot of superpowers. You do. But, just to tell in the audience, can you, are you one or more of your superpowers? So can you talk a little bit about that?
I would say my biggest superpower is seeing the opportunity in the chaos. I basically a change agent, shapeshifter. I don't see times of business crises as, oh my gosh, what do we do? I can't do anything. It's like, no, let's figure out. There's got to be a way out. And what is it? There has to be an opportunity in this. If there wasn't, you wouldn't have so many businesses, some of our legacy companies that started during the Great Depression. So many major companies today grew during the pandemic, right? So those are times of crises. And so I think that's my superpower, is really being able to listen in on what someone is saying, hear their experience, perhaps look at their data, and then say, did you see this? Did you see this over here? Did you consider this? So it's just providing those, those opportunities, that lens, right? Sharp, helping them to see where maybe they don't yet see. I believe everyone has an element of strategic insight in them, a gift of discernment for those who are spiritual, but just like your muscles, right? A bodybuilder, you have to work them. You have to condition them in order to build it up. And if you don't use it, it's just kind of there. You may not even know it exists. So that's my superpower, is I've been able to flex and use this muscle over and over and over again. And I'm able to see, again, the opportunities in the chaos.
And that's really important, because a lot of people, they get caught up in the chaos and don't even go beyond that. Like I always tell people, let's we know the problem. This is just my logic that I do, but let's look at the solution now, because we can spend so much in the problem that you're caught up in that. You're not getting to the next level, which you need to get to. So I love how you can say, okay, you're like this person, you're like moving, like, okay, let's weed all that to the side and let's get across that chaos. And I'm loving that you did that. That is a superpower of yours. So.
But in that, still, like you said, how you tell people, okay, we can talk about the problem all day long. Let's get to the solution. But in identifying the solution, you have to make sure you've identified the root cause. Because if you are developing a solution for the symptom, then you're going to see a reoccurrence of that problem. You're going to find yourself sort of in that muck or yuck of business dynamics. So it's real important to take the time and understand, again, how things are connecting, what things may be driving what, and figuring out, okay, if this is the trigger point, and if I address it, then what can I now do? Right?
Yeah. Like you said, LaWanna, you got to get to and I always say you got to get to the root of it, not just like you said, the part. Like somebody might say, well, I don't want to talk. Okay, well, why you don't want to talk? I just want to talk. Well, there's a root to that. There's reasons why they say they don't want to talk. So you have to dig deep, because you might say, okay, if they don't want to talk, they don't have to talk. Well, that's not solving the problem.
Right. And I've done it with you, and I know it was very frustrating the first time that we went through that exercise, but I take you through like the 7 layers of why. You give one answer. Okay, well, why? By the time you get to that 7th layer, you probably are pretty close, if not spot on, to what is creating that issue that you're facing.
Yeah. Or yeah, and like I said, please don't get frustrated. Try to really work on not getting frustrated, because there is a plan. What you do with that, LaWanna, is so powerful. But if you do get yourself frustrated, because I was there, she did it to me. I was like, okay, I don't know what to say anymore. And you said, we're trying to get deep. We got to dig deep. And you're right, because you got to get, once you hit that, you're like, there you go. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a superpower, right? Ooh. So another thing, LaWanna, you have made the statement cautioning business owners to not hide behind the brand. Okay. What does that mean, and how has that transformed what you're doing right now?
Well, your brand, and I'm not talking about your websites and logos and stuff, but your brand is your brand promise. And I believe that if you are operating in integrity and authenticity, then you should be able to come from behind the brand. The owners of Wendy's, he was, those commercials, right? You saw him walking around. He came from behind the brand. You saw the man behind the name, and so that's the point. It's like, do you have a spokesperson? Maybe you do, because you're a pretty large company. But in times of crises and in times where the customer really needs to hear from the CEO, are you hiding behind the brand and letting someone else do the talking because you don't want to be seen? And for me, with the Bradford Group is celebrating over 17 years of business, the consulting arm over 13 years. And I was always, we are the Bradford Group, the Bradford Group, the Bradford Group. Well, what changed this year is, yes, we are still the Bradford Group, and we are rocking and rolling and even surviving this crazy economic time that we're in right now. But I realized, LaWanna, people don't know you. They know you're, chief operating of the Bradford Group, principal of the Bradford Group Consulting. What does that really mean? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What do you stand for? What are you passionate about? What do you actually do? And I'm not talking about the business, but again, me, the person. And that's what shifted for me this year. And so the accolades that you mentioned and the platforms that I've been featured on, it's because I made a conscious decision. The Bradford Group is my name, but it's also the brand. I said, but there is the LaWanna, and that has its own unique, very personal brand that it's time for the world to know. And that's the one that is going to leave that legacy impact. And so that's what I mean. It's like being comfortable enough, because it's uncomfortable, because you have to be transparent in some ways that I was not comfortable in doing. And trust that your message, your why, your partnerships, your humanitarian efforts are going to reach the right audience, so that you can help. For me, ultimately, everything that I'm doing is to create sustainable communities. But it's starting first with that entrepreneur, that female entrepreneur, because if I can help her create that sustainable income, that reliable income source, so that she can empower her family, then the community is being transformed. But it has to start at, where the work is touching commerce.
I really appreciate you putting it out there. It was like you put that shout out to the business people, business owners, and about hiding behind your brand, because I love how you are transforming that for yourself. I always tell people, when you start yourself doing something, you want to be the lead and the leader of the pack, you got to show up yourself, right? And that's what you're doing. I mean, through everything that we just talked about earlier, people are getting to know LaWanna Bradford. There should be no question in people's mind now who you are, what you do for people, what you stand for, what your values are, what your mission is. There's no question about it anymore, because you're, like you said, you're putting it out there. And then that to me creates a connection with people. one thing I've noticed, and that's why I'm glad you did this exercise for yourself and you're telling others, look, you might have to think about that too. I really can't stand when I look at a website of somebody's business and they have pictures of everything else and everything, and nowhere sometime on the website. I mean, you can go through the tabs, like who they are, how they started their business, everything. No pictures of anybody that works in the business, not the president, not even the secretary, not even like a trainer, nobody. Just some names at the end saying you can contact this person. And even with that, you got to fill out a form. So it's like, well, who are these people behind the mask or whatever, right? And it gives you a sense of there's no connection there. And to the point where some people might make a decision to say, yeah, that's okay. I think I'm going to move on. I need to really get to know who this person is. There's the brand, and there's, well, who is this person? What are they doing? What they stand for? And what you're doing is so important to me. That's a true connection. It creates connection and creates trust for people.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. So what was, okay, these, I always like to learn lessons from people. So what was your biggest lessons that you learned that applies into your business?
I would say there are 3 lessons, actually. And the first was my dad. And he said, find something in life that you love so much that you'd be willing to do it for free, and you'll never work a day in your life. And I've been blessed, whether it was as an entrepreneur or in the corporate space, to really love what I do, because I was working in my gifts, working in my talents and honing those. The second one, my mom said to learn from the mistakes of others, because you can't live long enough to make them yourself. At the time that she told me this, and both of these lessons came when I graduated, the night I graduated from high school. And I listened, I'm like, okay, I get it, but I didn't really get it. What she was basically saying is, there are people who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, right? Your coaches, your mentors, your guides, your leaders. Learn from them, because you can't live long enough. All these years of experience, if you're trying to get to a certain place, that is why there's people before you. That's why you stand on great shoulders. Lean in, be willing to ask the questions, be willing to be mentored, be coachable, right? So that was the other. And then the third was from Jim McCracken, who was a multimillionaire. And I remember asking him, if you were to give me one tip, what would it be? And he said, and I thought he was going to talk about the finance market or investing or something. And he said, simple. In life and business, there's going to be struggles. You live long enough, you're going to face some. He said, but never, ever pray for money, and don't pray for resources. Pray for knowledge and wisdom, and the money will come. And those are the 3 pieces that make the cornerstone of how I operate in my life and in my business every day. I just hear those words over and over again.
Well, lady, you are leadership in that, because now I hear the same words over and over again in my head, because you have told me them in our talks and our discussions behind the scene. And I even repeat, I'd be like, LaWanna, remember, I know you told me I need to pray for knowledge and not for money. it just ooze out of me now, because it's so powerful. It's just powerful. And it's even changed my mind frame on that whole thing. Because I was like, oh, I need some money. I got to find the money. And then you was like, Barbara, I'm going to give you some wisdom here. You stopped me in my track. So thank you for the lessons that you entail in you and sharing with others. That's what I wanted to say.
You're welcome.
So Miss LaWanna Bradford. So what is next for Mrs. LaWanna Bradford as you gear towards closing out 2023?
Well, on the mortgage side, there's things that we are trying to write and understand. Like I said, the market is dynamic. Our lending partners are doing some new things. So we want to make sure that as we go into 2024, that we are really solid with our service portfolio. So there's some things that we're doing that's going to go away, and some things we'll be adding to the plate. That's one of the things. The other thing that we're looking at for 2024, I haven't made a decision yet, but I have been approached to become a lending partner. And so just exploring how that will look for us. And that's pretty exciting to even have the conversation with someone. The other thing that I'm doing is really elevating that speaking platform. And again, the message on R3. I realized that I can do the one-on-one, but now it's time for the one-to-many. So getting kind of that bullhorn message out there to the masses, then creating a program where they can come back to me, get a little more information, get a deeper dive, and then have a 3-week coaching session that takes them through each of these components. And what I'm doing in the next, I like looking at my calendar, it's so busy, and I just want to give a shout out to these individuals who I will be speaking on their stage. So Alicia and Rochelle Schwartz this week, their podcast, Together We Rise, be talking about R3. Sister Leaders Conference with Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, R3 again. Dr. Nikki Ziegler, Unstoppable Business. And I know people are like, well, why are you going to keep talking about the R3? Because these are all different audiences who've never heard the message, right? They are not overlapping audiences. Dr. Renee Sunday, Walking in Dominion. She has a conference. Holly Mignonsi, I know you're going to be part of the Soulful Speaking Summit, which kicks off this week. So I'm excited about that. That'll be my first time participating with that community. Some amazing, powerful speakers are going to be at the table there. And then I have a leadership. It's called the Cheers and Commerce Networking Expert Workshop with LaDonna Maccabee out of Texas. And it's an all-day workshop, and I'm going to be the opening keynote for that. And so I'm just real excited. Really, since July to now, it's been late July to now, it's been back to back to back to back. Speaking engagements. I was slated to go to Las Vegas for one next month, but I think I'll just wait to see when that conference rolls around and where it's going to be. I just think that'll be a little too much for me, but it was great to have the conversation.
Boy, that is, yeah, you are busy queen, busy lady, but all in what you're doing within, like you said, your brand and what you're basically putting out there for people when it comes to their businesses, and when it's really just looking at the better, like you said, focus, about refocusing the 3 R's. I mean, that's what that's what your foundation, what you're saying. So I'm loving it. I can't wait to see you on the stages, and wow, workshops and everything that's going on. I can't keep up with you, lady. Can't keep up with you.
It's amazing. And I shared with you, Barbara, because I've got another talk called Building Momentum with the CAR. And it's the CAR is an acronym for credibility, authority, and your reputation. And when you put those pieces in place, you got to be ready what's going to hit, because the wave is going to come, and you want to just be able to ride that wave. And that's what's happened, is I put these things in place and it works. It's a process that works. And you and I talk about, if you want visibility, if you want exposure, there's certain things that you have to do in building those relationships. And I mean, these aren't new. I think there's only one on here that's a brand new relationship. Someone who I literally just met in August. But all of these I've known for a little bit of time, a year plus. And, it's just kind of that back and forth exchange. And when the opportunity presented itself, I said yes.
Yeah. Be open to the opportunities, as I say. You never know what it's going to create. And that's what happened to you, yes. Which I know we're not going to get that deep into that, because that's like a whole training thing that LaWanna does. So I want to leave that part alone, just to say, if you want to know more, LaWanna can tell you that through training, through a training session. But so now with your show, LaWanna, when you think about all your guests, because you've been on for a long time, lady, a long time, this show. I know this is going to be a little difficult, but I know you can pull it out your hat. Who has been one of the most memorable, and why?
I would say the most, because I've been blessed with a lot of really great experts and influencers. I would say the most memorable has been Cyrus Webb. And the reason is because this is a brilliant man, brilliant entrepreneur, media personality. And he shares his humble beginnings, a boy from Mississippi. And that he was just in the right place, willing to be coachable, and had a passion for books and reading and starting his own podcast. And now, he's got so many shows, it's ridiculous. I don't know how many shows he has, but he's an Amazon partner, and he has his own magazine, and he interviews top name celebrities. And he also still teaches and reaches back and coaches. His community activism is amazing. He has a passion for educating and helping children and teachers within his communities. And he stayed so humble. And when he was on the show, there was just such a spirit of humility, not arrogance, like, oh, I know this, but it was, he appreciates the journey and reminds us it wasn't an overnight success. It was a 17-year-long journey, and now he's blowing up, and it seems like it's overnight, but it's not. So, and he's one of my mentors along the way. I've known him for a long time. I've known him for 14 years, and watching his growth, and that he honored me by being on the platform a couple times, but each time is so much wisdom, from practical, personal, professional. It's just, he's everything, all rolled up in a little bow. But yeah, I would say of everyone, and that was a hard one. He and one other person, I think he and Forbes were like running neck and neck, with who would I pick? But I think Forbes Riley. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, she also left a huge impression on me, but definitely Cyrus left.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I met him through you, and I'm so glad the connection was there, because his story, like you said, where he's been working so hard and where he's at right now, that's a mentor to me, just looking at the process that he did to do that. So yes, I can understand why that's one of those memorable guests that you have on the show. Cyrus is on there. So I want to ask you now, if someone would like to be on a guest on your show, how can they be a part of your lineup?
Well, that's really easy. They can contact me on all things social media. Also follow me, LaWanna Bradford, or Instagram, the LaWanna Bradford. And then I think you have going below, you can email me at LaWanna Bradford Group, mtg.com. My Linktree information is there. You can just message me, real simple. And we'll have a conversation. I'll shoot you a jot form to make sure that it makes sense for you and for our audience, because we want it to be a win-win. And this is a platform that's designed to create that intelligent, meaningful, impactful conversation, but also it turns around and gives you a time to promote who you are and how people can connect with you.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, we do have another video we want to show, and then we'll be right back.
Faster. See, when it is dark, even the brightest flashlight cannot illuminate your way. You have to have clarity of thought. You have to be able to see and recommit to the vision that you had for yourself. We designed the lane that we're in. No one else occupies that lane but us. It is our lane. We need to show up. We need to be bold. We need to own it and not look to our left and to our right to things that may be so easily distracting for us.
And we're back. Wow. So LaWanna, I just want to thank you again for allowing me to be on your Business and Raw Talk, to interview you, the queen, as I see, the queen of queens, and really getting to know you more and what you're doing, not only in the business sector, but just for people in the world, especially women in business. And I know you hone into that. So I just want to ask, how can people connect with you? And then I know you have some lasting thoughts after that.
Yes. So My handles are all below, so LaWanna Bradford or the LaWanna Bradford, definitely message me. Visit our website, bradfordgroupmtg.com. And Barbara, before I close out, one of the things that I want to say, and the reason why I did pick Barbara Beckley, is not just her friendship and business partner, but the fact of what she's doing on her platform. I thought about who I could get who could interview me in a way that was professional, in a way that would amplify my voice and message and not detract, right? Because sometimes you've got someone doing it their own way. And Barbara is a very powerful interviewer. She has her Congratulations to You, which launched this month, her new network, the Diamond Factor Network. And for those of you who want to learn more, maybe you're like, wow, I like this show. How can I get a show? How can I learn about interviewing skills, hosting skills, whether it's a podcast, Facebook, YouTube? Please reach out to Barbara Beckley. What she's going to be doing on the Diamond Factor Network is brilliant. She's building a family, a community of creatives that are going to make a difference. So I just wanted to honor you and salute you and say thank you. I couldn't think of anyone better. Maybe Cyrus. No, I'm kidding. No, yeah, you're about to say. That's why I'm so but you weren't the second choice. You were the first. You were the first choice.
I understand. But thank you. Thank you, Queen. Jokes aside, I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be here and be a part of what you are building your empire and just bringing me in along as your partner. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk. To our E360 community, we so appreciate you, and to our streaming community, thank you for following us. We will be back next week on Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk. And before we leave, I just want to leave you with one lasting thought. Remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Until next time, be safe, everyone. Bye-bye.